Hello, good day. My name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this training. Okay, so this is the business analysis training. So this is based on the business analysis BABOK. And what do you call BABOK? So BABOK is business analysis body of knowledge, right? So business analysis is about causing change. It's about deriving value for whatever given project or whatever given product. So the business analysts have quite a lot of responsibility to make sure that whatever project that is being delivered, whatever product that wants to be started, there is that seamless change. There is that seamless delivery of value. So that's the job of a business analyst. And in business analysis, we talk about knowledge areas, right? We'll talk about knowledge areas. So we'll talk about planning and monitoring. So there's this guide, I'm going to reference it. Kudos to Alan Maxwell. They provided this very nice summary guide that talks about and looks at the 50 techniques in details. In one of the series in the videos, I'm going to be explaining each of these techniques and tell you how you can use either a tool or a document to be able to achieve it, looking at a case study. Okay, so we have quite some knowledge areas. So we say, what's it called? Just a second. So we have planning and monitoring. Planning and monitoring is a knowledge area. Planning and monitoring is a knowledge area. So we're trying to say that if we're going to start a project, if we're going to deliver a product, if we're going to cause change, one of the first things we want to do, just similar to when you do project management, you have to do your business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Then the next knowledge area is elicitation and collaboration. So that is where the business analyst tries to elicitate, try to collaborate, tries to get ideas from different stakeholders, does some research, conduct elicitation to try to understand the reasons, the why, so that everybody can achieve a mutual goal. Take, for instance, a business analyst who wants to come in to help cause change, let's say for an upgrade of a hospital. Elicitation and collaboration is very key, because one thing why some projects don't get successful is because of lack of exhaustive collaboration. So that's why elicitation is called for to draw out requirements from and with stakeholders. So it has something to do with the next knowledge area, which is requirements lifecycle management. So before requirements, we need to also have requirements. But in also looking at the requirement, we're looking at not all of the requirements that we have at the start of the project is going to make it to the end. So that's why we need to consider the life cycle of those requirements. Take, for instance, for the upgrade of the hospital, if you have 10 items you want to do upgrades for, not all of those 10 items are going to make it to the end, because we're going to have constraints with respect to maybe funds, with respect to the skill, with respect to maybe licensing, with different things are going to come out to maybe stop or make us defer some of these upgrades. So we need to understand that some requirements are going to be deleted, some are going to be archived, some are going to be stored, some will be accepted. So then the next knowledge area as business analysts, we need to understand the strategy analysis. So one of the things that a business analyst is known for is to help deliver solutions, right? So you're thinking about strategic goals, you're thinking about strategic solutions that will help make sure that you can deliver value. The goal of a BA is to deliver value, is to cause change. So once you can't deliver value, then maybe your solution is not what the business needs. If there's a need for a business to have growth, let's say a consulting firm, how can they deliver value? How can they cause growth? How can they be changed? So there are quite a lot of things that you need to look at in terms of strategy. And for each of the strategy that you put on the table, you have to analyze it. And there are different things to analyze. So that's why we talk about the current state. Because you need to look at first the current state of the business. You need to look at the current state of the enterprise. Then another thing you want to do is you want to define future state. Where are we heading to? So in terms of technology, in terms of team, in terms of assets, where are we trying to go to? Then another thing in that heading is assess risks. So we're going to learn quantitative risk analysis, qualitative and quantitative risk analysis. And of course, you have to now define the strategy. Very key. So then, just a second. Then look at solution evaluation. Solution evaluation, very, very key. So whatever strategy that you have put on the table, whatever strategy you decide that you want to propose, you must evaluate it. Then of course, requirement analysis and design definition. At times we'll say requirement document analysis, or we say functional requirement document, right? We say functional requirement document. So because before any change is going to happen, we need to understand what are the key requirements, what are the deliverables. In project management, we call this scope, right? So we need to understand, need to have a very detailed scope. So that scope tells us if at the end of the day, whether we're actually delivering value. And to do that even, we need to specify it, we need to verify it, we need to be sure, everybody on the table needs to be sure that this is the requirement, this is the change, this is the upgrade that we need. Then of course we validate it, we define it, and we look at the different options, right? At times you have a requirement. Let's say you want to propose that a facility needs an upgrade to better deliver, let's say, training at a case study, or a hospital needs to upgrade some of the beds so that they can better deliver bespoke services to the patients that come into the facility. And of course, so that they can charge a little premium on some maybe reserved rooms or some operating theater or some recovery post medical, either diagnostics or surgery or whatever. Now, for each of the solutions, there should be options. So the options allow us to decide which of them to go to based on what our subject matter experts tell us to go for, considering our cost, considering the stakeholders. Of course, the patients too are stakeholders because they're the persons that are going to pay for these services. Then, of course, at the end of the day, we want to evaluate solutions. Right? We want to evaluate solutions. So assess performance and value of existing solutions, discover and recommend removing barriers or constraints preventing realization of a solution benefit and value. Do you know at times persons in an organization can hinder delivery of specific benefits or value or some solutions that have been rendered? Do you know the team structure can hinder how value can be delivered? Very, very key. So this is an idea about the business analysis board knowledge areas, right? So you have business analysis, planning and monitoring, like I said. So you have elicitation and collaboration, you have requirement lifecycle management, you have strategy analysis, you have requirement analysis and design definition. Then, of course, you have solution evaluation. So these are the core 6 knowledge areas. So if you want to be a BA, if you want to be a business analyst, then you need to understand how to plan your change. You need to learn how to collaborate, how to do brainstorming. That's why later on, we're going to be looking at the techniques, right? So the techniques in details, right? We're going to do a separate video and we're going to consider all the 50 techniques, explain them, and I'm going to use some templates to tell you so that you understand how you can do each and every one of them, or maybe some 50, some very, very key important ones. Things like acceptance and evaluation criteria, why you want to know why you're accepting a particular maybe requirement, backlog management, because for every of the requirements that you want to do to deliver change for the business, let's say you have a supermarket, you have a boutique, if you want to do some upgrades, the job of a business analyst is saying, how can we deliver better value? How can we cost change? How can we improve the earnings of this particular business? That's where a business analyst comes in. And that involves strategy. That involves doing some analysis. That even involves data. That involves looking at, for instance, when you say business model canvas, so you are looking at the partnership. Where is the business? How's the business getting supply? How's the business doing marketing? How's the business? What's the pricing model of that particular business? So some of these techniques are very, very key in us as business analysts to try to deliver excellent value to our team. So in the training series, we've looked at some of these knowledge areas, and then we are in 5.3, which is prioritize requirements and stakeholders. Let me try to do a recap. Just a second. Get to 5.0. Yeah, so which is requirement life cycle management. So we're looking at this particular knowledge area, requirement life cycle management. Right? We're looking at requirement lifecycle management. And one of the things we've looked at is how do we do trace requirements, right? So because in each of the requirements that you have, what's a requirement? A requirement is just a KPI. A requirement is what we need to do to deliver that value. If you want to deliver better healthcare delivery, question is, what are the requirements? What are the items? What are your key deliverables? So you list them out. So we're in 5.3 currently. We've looked at trace requirements, maintain requirements. We're now looking at prioritizing requirements. Because in listing your requirements, not all your requirements are going to remain your requirements. Some things are going to change. I've given you several reasons why your requirements might change. So this may change over time. You want to look at basis for prioritization, challenges of prioritization, continual prioritization. So this is what is 5.31, 5.32, 5.33. This is it here. So this is like the little bit detailed explanation. So 5.31. So if you want to look at the basis of requirements, then you want to look at the costs, the risks, the dependencies. So is a requirement. There's some requirements that are dependent on other requirements. Take, for instance, if one requirement is that you should have 5 new additional staff. Don't forget, this is to help us deliver a particular goal, a particular change. Now, for you to have 5 additional staff, maybe in sales or in marketing, one other requirement that can help us deliver this requirement is recruitment, or is training, is mentorship. So you cannot have some requirements don't stand alone. They are dependent on other requirements. So we'll go to analyze all these things. We'll go to analyze 5.31, 32 as we move along. So we are here right now in our bubble guide. We're in 5.3. So I'll go over to the slides. and we are going to write down. So requirements, prioritize requirements. So requirements prioritize or rank requirements available for additional work, ensuring that the highest valid requirements are addressed first. Even if a staff, if I say, okay, this is my goal, this is my strategic goal for the organization by December 2023 or by December 2024, I might tell a team of staff to like get me some requirements, some items that we need to like look at and brainstorm on how to deliver these requirements via some analysis and rendering solutions. What's going to happen is that you might have a brainstorming session, which is a technique. We can have a focus group, which is a technique. We can have all of these things and we come up with some requirements. But the idea now is it all the requirements that is going to make it at the end of the day, right? So we need to rank it. We need to rank them. Same thing with our designs, right? We need to prioritize and rank our designs, ensuring that the highest value designs are addressed first. If you're doing a mobile app for a company has a website, and now we want to move away from a website, we want to deliver better value by rendering a mobile app. We want to deliver change. Don't forget that word, change. We want to deliver change. And in trying to deliver change, well, let me digress a little bit. The core concept in business analysis, don't forget, is change. These steps involve in transforming needs into solution. A business analyst looks at the needs of an organization and look at how he can or she can deliver change. And that change is what tells you that a solution has been delivered. The needs are, what are our issues? What are the things that require solutions? What are those things that we have that at times we don't even see them as needs? We don't even see them as a problem. We see them as an opportunity to deliver better value. Then we'll talk about solutions. So solution is, what am I now offering? Then stakeholders, because for every business enterprise, you're going to have persons that are going to be impacted, persons that are going to be interested, persons that are going to have a say. Some people even have, some people are going to be able to even influence a particular solution that you are delivering. So you need to consider that. If you're having a fuel station, if you're having a stadium, if you want to remodel a shopping mall, if you want to deliver a software product, if you want to move away from a website to a mobile app to deliver better value for a hospital, for instance, to aid automation, there are several stakeholders involved in this. So you cannot just take the decision, or the internal team or the technical team cannot just take decisions. So they have to consult. And of course, value. So value is the solution that we are actually bringing to the table, right? So solution needs to provide value. So you can have a solution and it's not rendering value. Very, very key. You can propose something and the organization looks at it and say, we might not be getting value. And maybe even if we're getting value, we're not getting sufficient value. Then the last concept in business analysis is context. And when we talk about context, you cannot propose every solution in every scenario. So that's why you need to first analyze. That's why you first need to look at the needs. You need to do some needs assessment. That's why you need to do some brainstorming session. You need to elicit, you need to collect requirements before you start proposing solutions. So whatever solution that you're going to deliver, it has to be within context. That's why you see two people conversing and somebody comes in and the person says, let me understand your concept. Let me understand your context. Let me understand what are the factors that are going to influence or affect this particular change. So things like organizational culture, things like environment, things like the nature of the business, things like regulatory standards and the compliance needs and the rest. These are the things that can apply There are some businesses that you can run in some countries, some upgrades, some value you can deliver to client, to the population that you cannot deliver in some certain countries. Even within same country, there are some things you can run in some provinces. You want to do a business upgrade, you want to recruit, the laws within the land does not allow some kind of stuff. So it has to do with context. So context, the things that affect and relevant to the changes, to the solutions you want to deliver. You need to put that not just at the back of your mind, like I tell my students, but at the center of everything that you do. So you have a group task here. So Tech Academy has told you that the reason why it is developing a new ordering system mobile app as follows. So to gain industry presence, to help stem corruption, to increase income, customer satisfaction, to build in-house capacity. You have been asked to prioritize the requirement based on business benefits. So you see, these are the requirements. There's several things that that's going to make us prioritize some items over the other. We talked about it a while ago. So assess requirement changes. Some of those things I mentioned earlier on can be 5.31, business of prioritization, cost. You see, that's why a business wants to come online. As a business analyst, you're looking at strategy. How can I make this business become more profitable? How can I, for this project we want to deliver in my company, for this other company, how do I make sure that it's successful and enough value is being delivered? And maybe what it is that we want to digitize the business. We want to do some digital transformation. Digital transformation has to do with the fourth industrial revolution. And though we are talking about fifth industrial revolution, but digital transformation is very key if a business is to scale, if the business is to deliver more value to bigger audience or a global audience. And one of the change or one of the need is for us to grow, growth. And there are several types of growth in business. So you can decide to grow in terms of increasing the number of products that you have in your inventory. You can grow by increasing the number of customers that you have, customer database. You can grow by partnership, by association. You can grow by saying, okay, I want to now become an affiliate to A, B, C, D, maybe global brands. Then you can also grow by geographical spread. So instead of you being in just one city, you can run your business in like several cities. These are the different ways you can grow. Then another way you can grow is to digitize the business, is to make the business not just a local business now, to make it go global, to make it digital. And if you're going to do that, in all of these requirements that can help us deliver change, some of them come with a lot of costs. Some of them come with some risks. Imagine if you are going to move to another city to now set up your brand, it has its risks. Dependencies, even some of your new ideas are going to be dependent on whether you're successful on the others of these requirements we're talking about. Then the benefits, what's penalty, what regulatory compliance. In that new city you are going to, is there going to be, I'm using geographical expansion as a means of growth as an example. So will you need to do some registrations afresh? Time sensitivity, like for instance, during COVID, during your peak periods in business, your off-peak periods in business. So all of these things are what is going to make you decide if you want to make all of those prioritization, right? Very, very key. So for this task you're going to be doing, so you give a case study, then you decide how you're going to be prioritizing. Let's look at 5.4, which is assess requirement changes. So the purpose of assess requirement changes is to evaluate the implication of proposed changes to requirements and design. There's always going to be an implication, right? This may or may not align to the change strategy and solution scope. So very, very key. So you want to make sure that whatever requirements that you have, that it's actually aligning to your strategic goals. So the inputs are your proposed changes, your requirements, and your designs. I think in this training also we've differentiated between requirements and designs. They go hand in hand. You need to have a requirement before you do a design. One nice skill set that a BA can have is product design, right? If you learn product design, it can help you understand because some of these solutions that you're going to render, especially if you want to work in tech, they are digital driven. And most of the times you want to deliver a particular change. Let's say it's an upgrade, is to digitize a business. So to digitize a business, that means you need a website, you need a mobile app, you need a website. And to do most of these things, or you need a solution, a software to like better deliver value or aid collaboration. To do this, you need to gather some requirements. It's from those requirements you now start doing like the layout, the UI, the UX series. Then before you now start active development by maybe software developers, right? So assess requirement changes. So some of the elements are assess formality, impact analysis, and impact resolution, right? Because for every change, there's always going to be some form of impact. There's always going to be for some of what's it called? 5.4. Just a second. This is 5.4. So assess requirement changes. Assess formality, impact analysis, impact resolution. So what are we going to approve? What are we going to deny? What are we going to defer? That you defer a requirement does not mean that the requirement is bad, but it might not be the best time for that particular requirement. I've been proposed a few times by maybe a staff or a team member that said, okay, we need to do let's say an event. We need to do a program, bring stakeholders together, run the event. And one of the things I'm asking as a BA is to say, okay, what value, what change can we cause by having this particular event? So we look at some of the requirements, some of the key things, some of the KPIs we want to address. Now, in looking at those KPIs, if I see that the cost outweighs the benefit, so I'm going to have a kind of a second thought. But if at the end of the day, on the short or the long run, these benefits can outweigh this cost, it can be a means of accepting this particular impact. Because for now, we are going to incur quite a lot of cost to bring stakeholders together to basically run a free event. But the thing is that, oh, maybe the goal is brand awareness. But the thing is that we need to understand that the benefits must be there, either now or in the future, like we talk about beneficial change. Then at times we need to also look at the urgency. What is the urgency? Because in looking at the urgency, we're asking ourselves, is this the best, is this the right thing to do to deliver change now? Are there other better things for us to do to deliver change? Are you there? So we need to be very, very conscious of this. Once we are conscious of this, it helps us to deliver better value. And of course, some of the costs, some of the impact factors is cost, benefit, urgency, schedule, impact. Then of course, one of the evaluating implications that you must understand that whatever thing you're proposing have to align with your overall strategy. It must deliver value. You must have the time and resources required. Then you must look at the risks. You must look at not just the opportunities that you have, then some of the things that are going to constrain your delivery. So let's look at assess requirement changes, guidelines, and tools. So change strategy, you need that. You need domain knowledge. You need to understand that particular niche. There are some kind of value you cannot deliver as an analyst for a business if you don't have good domain knowledge. Even if you're not a subject matter expert, you are not an SME in that particular niche, you have some basic. That's why if you're into health, you would do BA better in a health setting and health niche. If you're a tech person, you do BA better if you're in tech. If you're into construction, you will do BA better if you're in construction. Just like in project management, your core area, your core niche will enable you do better because you have knowledge in that particular domain. Governance approach, how you're going to be managing from the very top in decision making. So governance has to do with decision making. How do we make decisions, right? Then legal regulatory information. Then of course we have requirement architecture. How is each of the requirements connected to each other? Then we have solution scope, because that is very key. Your solution is not going to address everything or all your KPIs. Your solution is going to have what is going to address. Now let's look at some of the techniques that are involved in assessing requirement changes. So business case are used to justify a proposed change. Business rule analysis used to assess changes to business policies and business rules. Decision analysis used to facilitate the change assessment process. Like I said, after the entire BAPM guide, right, I'm going to do a separate video and I'm going to explain, just a second. And I'm going to explain each of the techniques. There are about 50 of them, right? There are about 50 of them. So you have them here. So acceptance and evaluation criteria, backlog management, balance scorecard, benchmarking and market analysis, brainstorming. So I'll give you templates for each and every one of, or at least 70–80% of the 50 techniques. And we'll see how to apply it with some case studies, so that you can better become a better business. You can be a better business analyst. Things like workshop, vendor assessments, use case scenarios, user stories, survey and questionnaires, very, very key, very, very key. Stakeholder list, sequence diagrams, UML, right? Root cause analysis, rules and permission matrix, very, very key, right? If you're trying to deliver a particular change, who is going to be responsible for what? Reviews, prototyping. You're going to be using Figma, Draw.io to learn some of this stuff, right? So it's best learned using some case studies. And then sometime this week, we're going to be running this, and it's going to be on the channel. So there's a product design training series that is on the channel. It's about 6 videos that talked about prototyping, talked about review, talked about UML, business process modeling, language, business process notation, business process, let me get that again. Business BPM, process modeling notation, right? So it's a standard that helps us to understand the different business processes an organization is going to have. How are we going to better deliver value?